Okay.
All right, here we are. This is season 3 of Our Mind on Music, and I'm here with Leon. Bum, bum, bum. From LA?
No.
No.
I've been there. I like the Dodgers.
I've never been there.
Shohei.
Is that the Japanese?
Yeah.
That guy is everywhere. Well, since we're talking about Japan anyway,
Look at that.
I went to Tower Records in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It was amazing. It
Yeah.
was LPs and I mean they have like CDs on the ground floor, and then they go by genre for each floor. So like there's a floor of rock and there's a floor of K-pop.
Did we ever have Tower in Canada?
I don't believe so.
No.
So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna listen to Bat Out of Hell by Loaf and go track by track and just basically do kind of a reaction video, but with a little bit more as well, I hope, about what
Some background.
yeah, like how this album started out and how it developed. I mean, it's kind of famous now that when they first recorded this album with Loaf, that incredible voice and those amazing songs by Jim Steinman, everybody hated it.
Yeah.
It took months and months for them to even get somebody to sign them with the record.
Yeah.
And then once they got that, I thought this was interesting. I just learned this. They couldn't get anybody to play it. So
well, the songs were all like 7 or 8 minutes long too, so
Yeah.
that didn't help.
Not easy for radio play, and then the content was very
Risque.
Both of our moms were pretty against us listening.
I know what you kids are listening to in there. My mom wasn't Jewish, but for some reason, at that time, for that
for that sentence. So, and it took. I just listened to an interview, an old interview with Loaf, saying that it took 2 of his best friends, John Belushi and Gilda Radner.
They were best friends.
They were best friends.
Oh, because of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I suppose so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they just were moving around in the same circles.
Yeah.
So those guys basically nagged Lorne Michaels for 10 months to put Loaf on the show. And he put him on the show, and that's when this album actually broke in the States.
Yeah.
Baby, we can talk all night, but that ain't getting us nowhere. I told you everything I possibly can. There's nothing left inside of me.
I just remember, I think it was the fall of that year when my sisters brought that album home.
Yeah. And one of the things, I mean, just the imagery of the album itself, right? Before we even get into the songs, just the cover of that album.
Yeah.
The coolest thing, like 8-year-old me ever saw, was a Vanguard van. You know those old school vans like they had on the A-Team? But it was painted on both sides with the cover of this album.
Oh yeah, but the cover of that album was something else.
It's amazing. Like,
yeah,
it tells the story in a way right there. You know, and I don't know.
That was back when the artwork of the album could sell the album.
Absolutely,
or at least help, anyways.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this was theater production, is what it was.
Right.
You know, I mean, it wasn't an album. Like it was definitely a concept album.
Mm-hmm.
It was a story from beginning to end, and it was very theatrical. Everything about it. I mean, I couldn't put my finger on it at that time because of how popular it was.
Mm-hmm.
But in listening to it again, like preparing for this, it blows me away how theatrical.
Absolutely, and in a world now where we have the Mamma Mia,
Wicked.
Yeah, Wicked, that are along the same lines. But at the time, I never put those two things together. I didn't think this was like off Broadway or something.
Well, and Meatloaf's his method of singing to us, we grew up listening to the rock and the country and all this stuff. That voice was just weird. Like, it was
what is
so
that guy
different.
Doing? Yeah, where it was just this kind of Broadway singing. We were talking about Wicked the other night, you and I.
Yeah.
And you were saying how all of them have that Broadway show.
Broadway voice, yeah.
Yeah. Which now we know that, but at the time it was just that's the way Meatloaf sings. you
Yeah.
know? So we talked a little bit about the story of the album, but let's talk about the story that led up to the album.
Well, you've done your research, sir.
I have.
So we roll the clock all the way back to 1969.
Jim
The
Steinman.
writer. Was he the only writer? Did he give credit to anybody else on that album?
I don't think so. No.
He said, I need verses for chilly California wind. He said, I got this thing. I took the words right out of my mouth, but I don't know what to do with it. So I wrote some lyric and I went, here's the lyric. I said, oh, good. You wrote some lyric. He asked me, you were licking your lips and your lipstick shine. And I was dying just to ask for a taste. That was part of my lyric in there.
While you were licking your lips and your lipstick shining, I was dying just to ask for a taste.
And so he kept those lyrics and he threw out the whole rest of
He
them.
wanted it to be Bat Out of Hell by Jim Steinman.
Right.
But they said, well, no, we want Meatloaf. Like, he's the face of this, you know?
Right.
So that needs to be the name. So if you remember, the album was like Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell. And then Jim Steinman's name was still on the top of the album cover,
Yeah,
you know?
I remember that.
So when this started out, 1969, Jim Steinman was at Amherst College. And he wrote a musical called The Dream Engine, which was his vision of like a dystopian version of Peter Pan.
Okay.
The main character was Baal, I guess you say, B-A-A-L, or maybe just Baal, I don't know.
His name is Baal. B-A-A-L. Baal, get it right.
It was like an ancient
God.
so he had done his research as well. The reason people say that this was the origin is because some of the songs from Bat Out of Hell came from this musical.
Okay, so you took the words right out of my mouth. On a hot summer night.
Yes,
Yeah.
and actually that speech existed in the original play.
Is that right?
It didn't come as an afterthought.
I do hope it's more than mere infatuation.
On a hot summer night, would you offer your throat to the wolf with the red roses?
Will she offer me her mouth?
Yes,
Will she offer me her teeth?
yes,
Will she offer me her jaws?
yes,
Will she offer me her hunger?
yes,
And will she starve without me?
yes,
And does she love me?
yes.
Yes.
Will he offer me his hunger?
Yes.
Will he starve without me?
Yes.
And does he love me?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. We've only just begun.
There are two websites that I found that actually have amazing information about this. So I'll put that in the description.
So he actually put the play on.
Yes.
Okay.
So he writes something else called Kid Champion in 1975.
Yeah.
For crying out loud came from that.
And now the chilly California wind is blowing down our bodies again. And we're sinking deeper and deeper in the chilly California sand. Oh, I know you belong inside my aching heart. Don't you see my faded Levi's bursting apart? Don't you hear me cry?
2 years later, 1977, he decides, you know what, I'm not gonna talk around the fact that this is supposed to be Peter Pan. I'm gonna just say this is like my version of the Peter Pan story.
We called it Neverland.
He called it Neverland, 1977.
And you were nothing but a lonely girl, but you were something like a dream come true. I was a varsity tackle and a hell of a rock, and when I played my guitar, I made the canyons rock. But every Saturday night,
there were some interesting facts about the actors were that he had tried out.
How do you bury the skull of your country? How do you bury a name of
One of the ones that I thought was amazing, not actor, but in this case, a singer who sang the demo for Heaven Can Wait was Bette Midler. Yeah.
Wait, and all the gods come down here just to sing for me. And the melody's gonna
As I remember, that started with a very simple piano arpeggio. It's nothing but piano and voice on the record. There's no other instruments.
Apparently, like her feedback at the time, she was like, "What is this song? What is this thing?" She was trying to sing the words, and she's like, "I don't even know how to portray this." You know, because when you're singing, you have to get into that character.
Sure.
You know?
Especially when it's a sort of a theatrical thing where you got to get into the role.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So, "Bat Out of Hell," the song, "Heaven Can Wait," "All Revved Up but with No Place to Go," all of those came from Neverland.
Nice.
So he didn't just change the name of the Dream Engine, he reworked it so it was much more obviously sort of an homage to Peter Pan. But then he wrote these other songs that then became the basis for Bat Out of Hell, the album.
Yeah. So on Wikipedia, it says this album came out October 21st, 1977.
Dang.
So on
Same
here
year
you
as
got
Neverland.
Neverland.
Same
Maybe
year.
it was earlier in the year, maybe, right? And then, so it was, how did that get into Bat Out of Hell?
When did you start working on that album, Bat Out of Hell?
Very late 1976. But most of it was done through 1977. It was released in late 1977. It was about a year's project, a year's worth of work just in the studio. And about a year before that, just piano and voice.
How did you actually get together?
We got together doing theater in New York City. He auditioned for me for a play I'd written music and lyrics for it. He came and auditioned for a role in it.
Jim Steinman himself was singing all this stuff, and then he saw Meatloaf on stage with his theatrical style and his incredible voice, and he said,
Rock star! This guy's got rock star.
"This guy, how do people not get this?" Like, he's looking around in disbelief that people don't understand the potential of this. You know?
Well, I mean, it's very what's the word? Sort of an anti-hero sort of rock person, right? Or
Totally.
yeah.
Like, I actually get why it was so hard for them at that time to sell this album.
Yeah.
You know? I'm not saying those people were right, obviously. I love this album, but
Well, it's kind of like when you look at the Bohemian Rhapsody movie and they're in there trying to like to tell Queen that this is never going to work.
yeah. Can you edit it down to 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Or 2.5 would be even better.
Yeah. So let's get into the meat of the matter. The first song is Bat Out of Hell. Roy Diddy. A minute and 50 seconds before we heard any lyrics.
Right. So almost 2 minutes in before the singing starts. 1978. Disco is the main thing that's on right now. Some songs will be almost over.
think it's over. The song is over about 4 times. Right? That's cool.
Mighty Max is on this record.
Yeah. I like these chord changes here too.
The piano comes back in.
Now we go to a different key.
Okay, it must be finished now. It's building up to no.
Yay.
I know.
The development.
I mean, obviously, we're talking about Roy Bittan
Yes.
on the piano,
Yeah.
and other keyboard instruments.
Yeah.
Max Weinberg.
Yeah. From the Bruce Springsteen E Street Band.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, you know, I grew up people making comparisons to that to the E Street Band, and I thought, yeah, there is something about
You
that.
mean this to the E Street Band?
Yeah.
Well, for me, what it is that Bruce Springsteen wrote his album where the whole album would be different scenes from an entire story.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think of the album as, instead of being an album of just 7 songs, I think of it as a fairly unified collection of 7 visions or dreams. Every song I think of as a separate vision or a separate dream, or even an adventure. It's like when you start playing the record, it's setting off on a voyage, on a series of adventures through this kingdom, this world. And it just so happens that almost all the people in the world are teenagers. That's just because I think that's the best kind of world. If you have a world only of teenagers, at least musically, for the course of one record, you're bound to get a lot of excitement, a lot of romance, a lot of violence, a lot of chills and fever, a lot of sex. And those are all very good things, a lot of motorcycles.
So Max Weinberg, one of the things he was quoted talking about Hal Blaine, the most recorded musician in history.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Max Weinberg was doing an interview once talking about his inspirations and his, his kind of drum heroes.
Yeah.
And he said about Hal Blaine, who wrote the beginning, the intro to "Oh, Won't You Be My
Be My Little Baby." Yeah.
So he was talking about Hal Blaine playing that improvised, as far as I know. You know, they said, we need a drum intro. We need an intro. Can you do something? And it was something like he was supposed to go dun dun no dun 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 dun.
Oh yeah.
But he like dropped his stick, or he wasn't holding it right or something. So instead of wasting Phil Spector's studio time, he just went dun dun dun, but got his stick and dun 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 dun, and then he comes into the song. So Max Weinberg's here, and he's talking. He said if Hal Blaine had only recorded that intro in his whole career, his career would have been complete.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder how Max Weinberg, who's played with everybody for so long, where does he rank this album, playing on this album, in his career?
I don't know, but I can tell you that it's some of the best drumming you're going to hear.
It's amazing. Like, it's so well done. That's why I asked you when they said, I can still see my heart still beating, And I was wondering, are they going to do something? I couldn't remember if they did like a heartbeat sound with the drums.
Yeah.
They kind of did, but they didn't do it so obvious that it was cheesy.
Well, it wasn't a boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it wasn't a doo-doo,
No,
doo-doo.
yeah.
They brought in the drums there, but they brought it in really, really subtly,
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what I love about this is some of it is very subtle.
It's hard to call anything on this album subtle, but the way that they produced it, there's plenty of subtlety. And then space, like what you don't hear anymore.
Yeah.
Space, like not only space in terms of not everything is normalized and maxed out volume-wise to make it all as loud as it can possibly be.
Just fill the box.
Yeah, exactly. But also like spaces between sections of the song.
The idea, Jim Steinman's idea with this originally was musically, it was kind of like Leader of the Pack. Leader of the Pack. At the end, she's singing about
look out.
Yeah. So he has the bike crash, but he's like, but a motorcycle crash wouldn't be look out. It would be like horrific, like a crash would be. That was what he was thinking here with this song. I would love to know what you said. The production. How much of that was Todd Rundgren sitting down and saying, "Okay, this is great, but we need to
arrange it.
We need to be bigger. We need to be longer. We need to be whatever that he did."
Yeah. Or all of them maybe had a bit part in making it what it was, all the musicians. Because I can't see Roy Bittan Max Weinberg, Todd Rundgren saying, being told what to do.
And how did you get in touch with Todd Rundgren? I mean, he's a very fast guy, It's hard to get hold on him. How did you get in touch with him?
That was through a keyboard player who had played with Todd named Moogie Klingman. Played in a band of Todd's called Utopia. Just heard us just with piano and voice. I was very impressed, thought Todd might be interested. Todd doesn't really like to produce, only if he feels challenged or that it would be exciting. Otherwise, he gets bored very easily. He's got an incredibly fast mind and gets very easily bored. And this, he seemed to think, was a project he wouldn't get bored with, and he didn't.
But then how did they decide also, like, which songs from the previous projects that we've talked about, which ones come into this and how it all ties together? So the next song on this album, you took the words right out of my mouth, Hot Summer Night.
This is where she pledges, undying love to him, right?
Well, if he'll give his throat to the wolf with the red roses.
Well, yeah.
Well, you got to have conditions if you're going to...
It's all about leverage. You got to have some leverage.
I think I saw it as an equality piece.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you offer your throat to the wolf with the red roses?
Will he offer me his mouth?
Yes.
Will he offer me his teeth?
Yes.
Will he offer me his jaws?
Yes.
Will he offer me his hunger?
Yes.
Again? Will he offer me his hunger?
Yes.
And will he starve without me?
Yes.
Then does he love me?
Yes.
Yes.
On a hot summer night, would you offer your throat to the wolf with the red roses?
Yes.
I bet you say that to all the boys.
Shooting stars falling through your trembling hands. While you were licking your lips and your lipstick shining, I was dying just to ask for a taste. Oh, we were lying together in a silver lining by the light of the moon. There's not another moment, not another moment, not another moment to waste. Oh, well, you're always so close and my knees grow weak when my soul is flying high above the ground. I'm trying to speak, but no matter what I do, I just can't seem to make any sound. And then you took the words right out of my mouth. You took the words right out of my mouth. You took the words right out of my mouth. You took the words right out of my mouth. Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth. Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth. Oh, yeah. Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth. Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth. Oh, it must have been while you were kissing me. You took the words right out of my mouth. Oh, it must have been while you were kissing me. You took the
So that one is obviously a lot more radio accessible.
Sure.
In terms of they don't say anything.
That one was only 5 minutes long.
Only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Short one. Musicians.
Just do a find on page.
Don't know how to do that.
Okie dokie, eh? Personnel.
Personnel. Okay, so bass. Kasim Sultan.
The Kasim Sultan, and his name was misspelled on the album. I remember that, right?
Yep.
It was, yeah. So they put it as Sultan with an
Yeah.
A-N, but it's supposed to be O-N.
He's the only one listed. Members of the New York Philharmonic and Philadelphia Orchestra are on there as well.
Well, that's part of the thing too. Once they got the backing, from the label.
Rory Dodd. Do you know who Rory Dodd is?
No.
Okay. So you talk. I'm going to do a little catch up on here.
I just remember that reading that Kasim Sultan, his name was misspelled on the album, and I think, geez Louise, like they put all this time and effort into getting even orchestra players on here. You know, Todd Rundgren, the members of the E Street Band, and then, oopsie, you know.
Anyway, Canadian dude from Port Dover, Ontario.
Port Dover is in Ontario?
Yeah. And he did the turn around, bright eyes. Yeah.
So wait, but,
another Jim Steinman song.
Right, I was gonna say because that's the thing with Jim Steinman as well. Is once people got it, once people heard this,
They wanted that sound.
Yeah, and I mean Celine Dion, and there's a great song about what was the Jim Steinman song that she did?
Celine Dion?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Let's check our memories here.
Hang on, I'm just doing a little dive on Kasim Sultan. Works with Utopia.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And also top 40 Canadian hit in 1982. Don't Break My Heart. Is he a Canadian?
Does it go? Don't break my heart. Da, 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 da,
No, I don't think so. 也许是我不懂彼此太多，也许是我的错。
So it wasn't a Chinese song called
No.
Don't Break My Heart. Okay,
It was not.
I didn't know there was another
He's
one.
toured with Blue Oyster Cult, Meatloaf, Hall & Oates, Cheap Trick, Patti Smythe,
Who was almost in Van Halen.
She was not.
She was too.
Akiko Yano, don't know who that is. Richie Sambora.
Heard of him.
He's played on albums with Patti Smith.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Indigo Girls and Steve Stevens.
Jeez. Yeah, they're going on tour again.
Are they?
Billy Idol.
Oh yeah, you were saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Fantastic. They do like a commercial, kind of a trailer to the tour, which is fantastic. It's so well done.
Order for Billy? White mocha.
Cheers.
Yeah. It's a nice day for a white mocha.
Everywhere I go, I see him, I hear him. I can't help but feel that it's some kind of sign.
It's a nice day.
Tour again.
I think it's interesting, the connections. This comes up a lot in episodes talking about different musicians, how Rory Dodd is on this album.
Yeah.
Alan Foley's on this album.
Yeah.
Is it coincidence that they ended up both working with Blue Oyster Cult afterwards? You know, like...
Probably not.
You know.
They all hang in that circle, right? That's their circle of people. Okay, so let's see. Jim Steinman, you said, wrote a bunch of songs. Okay, so let's go through 1980s. Total Eclipse of the Heart, Making Love Out of Nothing at All for Air Supply.
Air Supply, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Barry Manilow's compilation album included the song Read 'em and Weep, written, composed, and produced by Steinman.
I loved to hear him play. So he would say, do you want to come down to NOLA Studios? And I'm like, yeah. So we would just sit around and he would play these songs. What do you think of this one? What do you think of that one? And I remember one that really moved me, which is It's All Coming Back to Me Now.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's All Coming Back to Me Now was sung by Celine Dion. Was intended to be on Bat Out of Hell 2. Jim Steinman had said to Meatloaf, you know what, you've already got the I Would Do Anything for Love, which is a duet. And this song was a duet. And he said, we don't want to have two duets on the same album. And he said, but it's a great song. That's going to be a hit. And he said, let's leave it for Bat Out of Hell 3.
Uh-huh.
And he said, okay, that's fine. Let's do that. Meanwhile, as he's recording and getting ready to release 2, Celine Dion hears the song, loves it,
Yeah.
calls up Jim Steinman's management and says, I want to do that song. Jim Steinman says, well, I don't know, can I produce it? She says, yes. He says, okay, let's do it. And
That's
so
crazy.
Meatloaf was not happy to release this song.
When you touch me like this and you hold me like that, I just have to admit that it's all coming back to me. when I touch you like this and I hold you like that. It's so hard to believe, but it's all coming back to me. It's all coming back.
He's also credited with Holding Out for a Hero.
Bonnie Tyler.
Great
yeah.
voice.
Oh, same singer as Till the Eclipse of the Heart, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of
yeah.
those raspy
Yeah.
voices. Worked with Barbara Streisand on her album Emotion.
Holy.
Emotion was Bee Gees
The Bee
produced.
Gees, yeah.
And Left in the Dark was one that he wrote for that album.
And I would do anything. What wouldn't he do for love?
Okay, I just of all the Jim Steinman songs, to me that is the least favorite of mine.
What about the video?
It's to me the thing about that song is like the lyrics are kind of like
obvious,
not obvious enough.
Oh,
what wouldn't you do? What are you
but he
trying to
says
say?
it. That's the whole point. He says it right at the beginning of the chorus. He says, "And I'll never forget the way I feel right now. Oh no, no way. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that."
Bad lyric.
He says it. Well, oh no, no way is pretty bad.
It's not
Ellen Foley is highly featured here, of course.
And never really heard of her after that. Do you have any other biographical info?
In fact, I do. Well, since you ask. So one of the things I didn't know until starting to originally look all this stuff up, I wrote a blog post about this last year, the anniversary of Jim Steinman's death. I started the research on this, and I was just shocked at how much information there was. Ellen Foley sang on the album, but then after that, when they were going to tour it, then basically it seems like she figured this was a good moment for her to try and start her solo career. Like she's in the spotlight, people know her name now.
Rather than tour with...
Correct, yeah. Because if she toured with Meatloaf, it's kind of like it would just slowly cool, and then the name that people would remember would be Meatloaf.
Yeah, but you ever heard of Sheryl Crow?
I have heard of her, yes.
Started off...
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Maybe at the time she was like, okay, now's my moment. You guys have your moment. I have my moment. She went off into the solo album. Night Out was 1979. It was produced by Ian Hunter and Mick Ronson.
Wow.
So I think that's what she's thinking. She's like, I'm rubbing elbows with these like really big names. You know, maybe this is my moment.
Burning sun hangs over the city. You and me, baby, we don't feel nothing at all. From 9 to 5, we're lost. This life ain't so pretty. But when the sun goes down, we know.
So We Belong to the Night. She charted with the first album. By 1981, she puts out her second album, which was called Spirit of St. Louis. She was a major part. Billy Young was her character on Night Court for like two seasons.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I like that show.
Yeah. After that, she became sort of a studio darling for backup vocals because, I mean, obviously amazing. Yeah, amazing voice. She sang parts on recordings for Blue Oyster Cult. Joe Jackson. You know, is she really going out with him?
Is she really going out with him? I don't know that song.
So Ellen Foley, she dropped out of all this stuff, but they went on tour anyway. Who was singing, you ask?
I didn't ask, but go ahead.
You would ask. You know.
One would.
One would ask. Not Leon one. But I don't know if this is true. I did read that Carly DeVito actually didn't sing on that tour. She was lip syncing, or at least doubled by Ellen Foley's like tracks of her.
Really?
Now
in the 70s.
Exactly. So I did read that, which nowadays you'd think, okay, that's
no
what
big
happened.
deal, but then it's really hard to pull off.
How did they? Have you ever tried to sync without like in ears?
Yeah.
Or
I mean, we had our drummer in the 80s. We had a couple of tracks that had synthesizer parts that we could not copy. So we had those running in the background. He had these big fat headphones on so he could actually hear
Mm-hmm.
what was going on. But that was like 84, 85.
Right. And same, like we tried it. We never did it successfully, but we had a harmonizer, you know, and it had to be triggered. So we had to be singing at the same, because it was a pre-recorded harmony track that we had recorded, and it would basically, I don't think we called it auto-tune at the time, but it would basically fix the tuning, you know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, in the studio, for example, it would sound huge, right?
Yeah.
But live, you had to trigger that, and you couldn't vary speed them. So it had to be in time with the click.
Yeah, so your drummer's got to be
really solid.
really
and he
on the
was a
ball.
really good drummer, but what we found was that for him to hear the click with us playing live, because it was so loud, us playing on stage.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, and especially back in the 70s, they didn't have the kind of like isolation stuff.
That's
and everything
correct, yeah.
that you've got now.
Maybe for Heaven Can Wait, for example, you could just have a backing track that she lip syncs along with it.
Heaven can wait, and a band of angels wrapped up in my heart will take me through the lonely night, through the cold of the grave.
This was detuned for some reason. When I tried learning this as a kid, I couldn't decide which key to play it in. Listen.
Strings in here, again, not a word you'd think you'd use for a Meatloaf album, but subtle. It's hardly there.
Am I right? I think it's only piano and strings, the whole song.
Well, on the
And the
choir.
vocals.
Yeah.
Really good. And I bet 2 cents to the dollar that it was Roy Bataan that wrote that part.
I wonder if he wrote it.
Yeah.
Or if he just improvised
Well,
it.
improvise it, wrote it, whatever, you call it whatever you want, but I mean the chords were there and he played the melody. Dun, 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 all the fills and everything. This part, listen. Like he goes from a G up to an E flat, and then it's back to the D.
Yeah. It's a really strange progression to make that transition, right?
Yep. Circle of fifths, guys. Study it.
Circle of fifths.
That's how he wrote it. What I like about the ending of this song, he goes back to the root. Let the altar shine. Well, goes back to the
And the thing that kills me is the sweetness in his voice when he hits that note. Because, I mean, he's definitely got that full-on, almost aggressive vocal lots of times, right?
Yeah.
But then when he hits that, it's like, where did that come from? Like, what? You know? There is, of course, the Bat Out of Hell musical now, and Wendy sings that song.
I just wanted to rewrite that. Yeah. Again, that was for Neverland. That was my Peter Pan musical, and that was a song that Wendy sang after she married Peter.
Revved Up and No Place to Go, where did this come from?
This is from
Neverland.
From Neverland, yeah. That's sax. Sax player.
Yeah, is that that was my guess. Even the drums, it's not like just bop, it's just bop, bop.
Yeah.
It's just driving.
Edgar Winter on sax.
I love this one.
Beautiful.
Listen to this. Listen to this. Oh, and then he comes out of it. I didn't know there was an air saxophone.
It goes faster, right? Here we go.
Now, it was begging for that. All revved up and no place to go, and it's kind of mid-tempo, and then it just kicks in, and he was all revved up right there.
Fantastic.
That was awesome.
That's the end of the first side.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
Remember sides?
I remember it very well. First side of the album, time to flip it over. I had two sisters, Jean and Jen. Hi. Who this was their absolute favorite.
This is based on an Elvis song.
Really?
And so there were a lot of the really beautiful songs that he would play for me. But at one point I said, you know, Steinman, what I really want to hear, because it was so beautiful, and he would do these ironic lyrics that would have twists in them, and I'm a romantic girl, so I want to hear just the romance with this beautiful music. And I said, you know, write just I want you, I need you, I love you, like Elvis, you know, did those kinds of songs. And he said, oh, that's what you want me? Yeah, that's your. And I'm like, it would just be cool.
I want you, I need you, I love you more and more.
I said, I've never heard such beautiful music, and it was very romantic to me. So, you know, he called me back about a week later and went, okay, so you know that song that you told me that you wanted? Okay, I started it. And it was so beautiful that I want you, I need you. And then came the Steinman twist of irony. There ain't no way I'm ever gonna love. Don't be sad, 'cause 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Now don't be sad, 'cause 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You'll never find your gold on a sandy beach. You'll never drill for oil on a city street. I know you're looking for a ruby in a mountain of rocks, but there ain't no Coupe de Ville hiding at the bottom of a Cracker Jack box. I can't lie, I can't tell you that I'm something I'm not. No matter how I try, I'll never be able to give you something that I just haven't got. Well, there's only one girl that I will ever love.
Yeah, Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
Okay, so to me, this is the ultimate.
I just love the tone of that sound. I can hear it. You know what I'm noticing here?
Yeah.
He takes the rock and roll, mixes in boogie woogie, but then he goes suddenly into like gospel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like it's got all of the influences all mashed into one, where you can't say, oh, that sounds like Elvis. But you can say, it sounds like that genre.
Well, it's got the swing beat through the whole thing, right?
Yeah. And then the use of bridges in a song.
Yeah.
It's not one.
I've been waiting so long for you to come along and have some fun. Well, I gotta let you know, no, you're never gonna regret it. So open up your eyes, I got a big surprise. It'll feel alright. Well, I wanna make your motor run. And now our bodies are so close and tight.
And then he does those moments where everything comes in. Everything's going to go fine.
And we're blowing like the middle on the edge of a night. Blowing like the middle on the edge of a night. Come on, hold on tight. Oh, come on, hold on tight. Oh, it's all in lonely in the deep dark night. I can see paradise by the dashboard light. Oh, it's all.
Is that Alan Foley too?
Probably.
He's got that organ in there. Is it done? No.
And this gets super funky
Yeah.
right in this part.
And that's part of what made this album a bigger hit.
Got the clap.
Yeah. Part of what made it such a big hit was that it had a moment like this where even the disco cats were going, what?
I like that.
Wait, that's not bad.
Got up the middle. Look at him go. This boy can really fly. He's rounding first and really turning it on now. He's not letting up at all. He's going to try for second. The ball is bobbled out center, and here comes the throw. And what a throw. He's going to slide in head first. Here he comes. Holy cow, I think he's going to make it.
Stop right there. I gotta know right now. Before we go any further, do you love me? Will you love me forever? Do you
Every time there's a party of people that get together in a situation like
Yeah.
that, you know?
Not only sung, just thrown on by the DJ.
Yeah, well, but everybody sings. Like,
Yeah.
who in the party wouldn't stop right there?
Will you make me so happy for the rest of my life? Will you take me away? Will you make me your wife? I gotta know right now. Before we go any further, do you love me? Will you love me forever?
She's
Now what's this?
yeah, it was a false build. This is it.
But what's this style? It's kind of like
It's the 50s, like, yes, yeah.
there's no cliche in it because they'll do a part and you go, okay, that sounds like this, but then they just slam you back to reality with this kind of thing. She's angry.
And what they're singing about during all this, our parents did not approve.
No.
Not quite there yet.
Will you love me sleep on it? Will you love me forever? I couldn't take it any longer. I was crazy when the feeling came up on me like a tidal wave. Started swearing to my God and on my mother's grave that I would love you till the end of time. I swore I would love you till the end of time. So now I'm praying for the end of time. So hurry up and arrive. 'Cause if I gotta spend another minute with you, I don't think that I can really survive. I'll never
try too when I was a kid. It was such a struggle when I was that age,
Right.
you know?
And there's so much going on there. I mean,
Oh, it's crazy.
and like at that part as well, the fact that Max Weinberg's drums are just relentless.
Yeah.
And even as it fades, like I wonder how long they played after the fade.
Yeah.
You know, like how long did that actually go
Keep
on?
Guy in the studio,
Yeah.
Todd Rundgren's going, yeah, keep going.
Yeah, keep on going. Yeah. And then somebody goes, Todd, we've already faded out. We're on 0. Keep going.
Well, we're almost to the end of the album here, but that is sort of the peak.
Well, for crying out loud.
For crying out loud.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's
wow, what a great segue.
So this is from Kid Champion?
Meatloaf, again, he said that this is the best love song ever written.
Well, let's check it out and see if he's right.
I was damned and you were saved, and I never knew how enslaved I was, kneeling in the chains of my master. I could laugh, oh, but you could cry, and I never knew just how high I was flying, oh, with you right above me. And now the chilly California wind is blowing down our bodies again, and we're sinking deeper and deeper in the chilly California sand. Oh, I know you belong inside my aching heart. And can't you see my faded leaves bursting apart? And don't you hear me crying, I beg, don't go. And don't you hear me screaming, how was I to know? I'm in the middle of nowhere, needing another line, but there's a border to summer waiting, and there's a table of time. Oh, give me just another moment to see the light of the day, and take me to another land where I don't have to stay. And I'm gonna need somebody to make me feel like you do. And I will receive somebody with open arms, open to stand the man that I love shall do. I cried out loud, you know I love you. I cried out loud, you know I love you. Oh, I cried out loud, you know I love you. I cried out loud, you know
Just to the soft voice.
Different timbre.
Yeah. It's over, right?
Oh, yeah, it's probably over. Jim Steinman wouldn't fake us out like that.
No.
He'd never do that.
Psych.
taking in the rain when I'm feeling so dry, for giving me the answers when I'm
I
asking
love the
you
timing
why.
on this. It's speeding up and slowing down. And such control over his vocals.
Yeah. Here we go.
You know I love you.
And no build there, right? They could have done a timpani build or something to take it out, but they didn't do that. They just held the strings.
Yep. And again, didn't just hold this. Like, it wasn't like they held the strings and then faded. They held it for like, what, 2 beats?
A certain number of beats, yeah.
and then ended it. So the players stopped the bow. It's not like they, because the lazy call there. 4. Yeah, just the end of the measure.
Yeah.
They add one extra measure, and they have the players stop playing.
Yeah.
The lazy move there is keep them playing, keep the bows going,
Yeah.
and then you just fade it.
Yeah.
Right?
Nothing lazy about this album.
Wow. Holy caramba.
Everybody put everything they absolutely had into that thing.
I can't pick a song out of this album that I would say, well, take that off and it wouldn't matter.
There's no filler.
There's no filler.
There's absolutely no filler.
This is bare bones. Every single one of these is prime.
Knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Great songs. So having listened to it now again, and I did listen to it, but only in a cursory way, like it was just on.
Yeah.
I wasn't listening to it critically like
this, yeah.
Like we were doing here. And I didn't really think of it as that. Now that we've listened to it all, and I've played a couple of the parts, and I've listened to some of the harmonies and the voices that he puts on, I never realized how dynamic from this low range to his high range, and from his soft to his harsh.
That's the part that hit me on this listen.
Yeah.
Is sitting close up like this and listening to like a really well done, obviously remastered version of it. And you can hear like when it's like heart wrenching when he goes from like insane, to.
Would you say operatic? Not in the sense of like copying an opera singer, but operatic in the sense of that kind of range.
So expressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
an opera singer would have.
Yeah, and almost like I wouldn't put him as a singer up against Pavarotti, for example, right? But almost along those lines of just being able to be that expressive. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Expressive, the range.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are put off by the tone of his voice, but you get that with opera too, right? So,
but I kind of think that's like it's part of the thing. It feels so raw. It feels so real, so honest, sincere, because
it fits the character of each song so well.
Yeah, he doesn't sound like a Broadway musical. Like sometimes the thing that kills me with Broadway,
they sound trained.
Yeah, it sounds like the whole time they're singing in a way that never can forget that it's a production.
Yeah, it's put on.
Whereas there are moments where, like a great movie, you get so into it, you forget that they're actors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here, I forget that he's an actor sometimes,
Yeah. And the guys that support him never let up.
Yeah, well, I mean,
they don't
that drum part in the end when it's just like cha cha cha, and he's hitting the crash on every
2 and 4, yeah,
to the 2 and 4, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, and he doesn't stop doing that. It's not like he does that for a while and goes, well, I should probably let off now. They literally fade out with him still doing it. Okay, I'm that mod.
Well, I like the song that ended with the claps too, right?
Yes, yeah, it's the same thing. It's like they commit to that moment. That's what I love about Ellen Foley as well. Like when she hits that moment,
I think you said the right word. They commit.
Yeah.
Right? They commit. And I think that when you're recording an album, which you and I both had a stab at doing, right? Not even an album, but just a bunch of songs.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You lose a little bit of that commitment as time rolls on, as you get fatigued, as you go, I want this to sound a certain way, but it's not getting there, so I'm going to leave it that way. I don't get the feeling that they ever let up.
Well, and I mean, for me, I'm terrible at getting the first, second, fourth, 10th take because there's no audience there. There's no feeling. Yeah. I remember I did a conducting class once a few years ago, and it was during COVID, right? So I had to conduct with nobody in the room. And they expect me to look at my iPhone and go like this. And
you do it very well.
I could not follow through. Yeah. I couldn't do a whole piece.
It's a commitment, isn't it? Like if you're going to do it, it's like when Conan talks about doing a bit with one of his friends, just in life.
Norm Macdonald.
Or Norm Macdonald, or Kevin Nealon, or whoever it is. They come up and Bill Hader comes up and does a bit with them.
For me, when I'm conducting this room full of students, or if we're on the stage and we're in front of an audience, it's really easy because it's authentic, it's real. Like I'm not going to that person because I'm supposed to do that. It's because they need a reminder that the violas come in now.
That's what I'm saying, is when you're doing it in real life, that you don't really need to commit. You're just doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if you're doing it for an iPhone.
Correct. That's exactly my point. These guys are singing to a microphone, but that he could feel the chilly California sand as he sang that, you know?
Yeah.
And that's
why he could feel it? Because I can feel it and you can feel it.
That's it. Yeah. And,
You know?
and so when the ebb and flow of that speeding up and slowing down the whole time, that really...
I got chills a few times listening.
Yeah. I didn't know about the sixth. In fact, when you played it, I wasn't thinking of it as a sixth with the octave on top. I was thinking of it...
You heard the sixth, right? But that's
Yeah.
a trick I learned from, because it's in I can't lie, no more of your dark.
Oh, that's by George Michael. That one.